Hello everyone, this is your friend Saiyan Paradox Audio Fanfic and we are back in new fanfic. What if Kid Goku met Caulifla before Master Roshi? They changed Dragon Ball history part 2. 8 months have passed during the training regimen on Elch Island. During those 8 months, Goku, Caulifla, and Kuririn have kept to their schedule established by Mutant Roshi, as well as squeezing in what extra training they could in their spare time. Kuririn was quickly brought up to speed on the inner workings of the Kamehameha, and Goku's understanding of basic social skills have increased substantially with Caulifla's aid. 4 months into the regimen, and the three were all capable of moving the boulder Mutant Roshi slated as their landmark to learn new martial arts moves. It was quickly revealed the boulder test was a mere joke, and such moves are merely applicative from the skills learned from these trials, compounded with the increase in strength. For the next 4 months, they would carry on as usual, but with double the weight added to their turtle shells. The pupils will awaken to continue their routine, only to learn that today is the day of the Tenkaichi Budokai. Elch Island, morning of the Tenkaichi Budokai. Goku and Caulifla awoke from their dreams and began to dress themselves 5 minutes before their alarm. Goku had acquired a light blue gi similar to the one he had from before his adventure searching for the Dragon Balls, while Caulifla had the same style outfit as usual, but the sleeves on her pink undershirt were now shoulder length. After rolling out of bed, ready to tackle their training, they donned their respective 40-kilogram shells, ready to get to work. Kuririn was quick to come out of the house, also donning his 40-kilogram shell, and greet the two. Hey guys. Kuririn cheered, seeing his now best friends bright and early as he is. Ready to get started? You bet we are. Goku answered gleefully, ready to take on the day. I wonder if we'll get another heavier shell after today. We'll have to see what Mutant Roshi has in mind, Caulifla added, looking around only to see no visible sign of the hermit. Where is he anyway? We're up early, so maybe we beat his alarm. Goku speculated. We could go and get the milk crates to deliver while he sleeps. Sounds good to me, Caulifla agreed. The trio proceeded to jog to the warehouse where the milk was kept, but as they approached the building, Mutant Roshi was standing before them wearing a clean-cut black suit and hat. I had a feeling you kids would be up this early, the well-dressed Kame Sennin spoke up, seeing his eager students ready to carry out the delivery. I'm afraid you won't be making deliveries today, and until further notice. Today is the day of the Tenkaichi Budokai. All three gasped, smiling wide. Really? The trio asked simultaneously. Roshi nodded to confirm, and the three jumped into the air with glee. How's about you three try jumping again, but without those hefty shells on your backs? Roshi requested. Let's see how far you've come these past few months. The three took a second to wonder what the old master had in mind, and then slid the heavy shells of their backs, falling with 3 resounding thuds into the earth. With this heavy burden off their shoulders, they looked at themselves with awe. I feel so light, Caulifla spoke up, now unhindered by the shell. Like a cotton ball. Well, what are you three waiting for? Roshi demanded. The three proceeded to jump as high as they could, and to their surprise, they had easily cleared 300 meters with their jump, suspended in the air for a good few seconds, and proceeded to descend back to earth, landing lightly and with grace. I felt like I was floating. Goku stammered, trying to believe what he had just done. That fall should have shattered my legs. Kuririn exclaimed, inspecting his legs. It didn't hurt at all. If simply jumping has you amazed at what you can now do, you should see what you can do at the tournament then, Roshi added, taking note of his pupils' awe at their newfound strength. I will say again for good measure, do not allow the prospect of winning cloud your mind. You do not fight to be better than others, you fight to be better than yourselves. The trio nodded, Goku especially as he now understood what the Kame Sennin meant, thanks to his tutor sessions at the town library. This newfound knowledge and mental power caused the young boy to speak up with curiosity, raising his hand. So, are we leaving soon? Soon indeed, lad, Roshi answered, nodding. We still have some time before we should catch our flight, so how about breakfast? We'll get right on that. Caulifla agreed, eager to put her cooking skills to the test once again. She motioned for Goku and Kuririn, the latter of whom had been helping with the food ordeals of Kame House since day 3, to follow and get ready to prepare a feast before the tournament. The same chaos ensued as it had always, but since the stockpile of fish fillets ran out after a month, other meats have been acquired since then. This time the meat of choice came from one of the dinosaurs on the milk route that tried to make Caulifla its next lunch, only for the tables to turn swiftly in the girl's favor. Breakfast was satisfying for everyone, omitting the spectacle that was the absolute destruction of Goku and Caulifla's servings, and everyone got dressed in travel clothes per Mutant Roshi's instructions, wearing gray suits and hats, as the trio took a moment to have a good laugh at each other in their outfits. Lunch, in her sweet state, had elected to stay behind and pack up Kame House and set it back up at its original, smaller island. With their goodbyes, the group trekked to the island's local airport, with Mutant Roshi planning to purchase 4 tickets to Papaya Island, home of the Tenkaichi Budokai. Mutant Roshi, could Caulifla and I use Kintoon to get there? Goku asked, wondering why they have to take a plane. It's probably faster, and we can wait for you and Kuririn to show up. Sure, but why? Roshi counter-questioned. It's not like we're in a rush. I have a couple ideas, but I'm afraid Caulifla will hit me if I say what they are, Kuririn interjected, despite how moot his statement was, yet grinned regardless. I actually wanted to ask her for some advice while we made the trip, Goku clarified, now understanding and ignoring Kuririn's subtle messages. Kuririn's grin did not fade. One could even say it grew even more sly, but the monk wisely chose to hold his tongue, for he saw Caulifla's face work with annoyance, staring daggers at him. All right, the Kame Sennin happily agreed. That means I'd only have to pay for 2 tickets instead of 4. Just don't let any bugs splat those suits now. The island is a few dozen kilometers to the south of here, and you shouldn't miss it. We'll be careful. Goku and Caulifla replied simultaneously, each with a small bow. The two hopped aboard Kintoon, and per Goku's command, the cloud bolted into the air, heading south towards Papaya Island. For real though, Kuririn spoke up, once the cloud vanished. What do you think Goku plans to ask Caulifla? Beats me, Roshi shrugged. Maybe we'll find out once we meet them there. Open ocean. What? Caulifla screamed, almost jumping off her seat on the somersault cloud. You agreed to marry this Chi-Chi thinking marriage was food. I didn't know at the time. Goku nervously responded, hands raised defensively. When I learned about it during a tutor session, I began to put the pieces together. This has to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Caulifla palmed her face with disbelief, cheeks turning slightly red. What's worse is that it totally sounds like you. That's what you brought me along for. Advice on how to clean up your moronic decision making. I would have asked Kuririn or Mutant Roshi, but you know how they are. Goku added, trying to pick his words carefully for the first time in a long time. Plus I didn't know a good time to ask. Ooh wow. Wow oh wow, Caulifla sighed, rubbing her temples with her fingers. At least tell her it was a mistake on your part. Maybe get to know her better before you reconsider. I'll give that a shot. Goku nodded, now feeling bad for dragging Caulifla into his own little problem. I'm sorry I asked for advice like this. Caulifla sighed again. It's fine. I think I'd rather handle this kerfuffle more than watch Mutant Roshi harass the plane's flight attendants. Kerfuffle. Goku repeated with a questioning tone. Is that like? If you say food, I swear to God, Caulifla warned, a vein popping in her forehead. I was gonna say trainwreck, Goku finished, causing Caulifla's face to go a shade deeper red. Oh, sorry, Caulifla apologized. But yeah, trainwreck's the right word. I didn't think you'd get so angry at this, Goku added, simultaneously curious and sullen. Of course I'm angry. How do you think I feel when I learn my crush agreed to? Caulifla shouted but cut herself off and immediately held her hands over her mouth when she realized what he had just said, causing her face to turn red as a strawberry. What did you say? Goku inquired, surprised at what Caulifla had just said, a mild redness taking over his face as well. Nothing. Caulifla hastily answered, now sweating. I said nothing, you idiot. Why, your hearing's just terrible. You have a crush on me? Goku asked, making sure he was putting the pieces together correctly. I didn't say that. Caulifla snapped back, her sweating increasing exponentially. I told you your hearing is bad. Caulifla pivoted her spot on Kintoan facing away from Goku, arms crossed and posture hunched into a pout. Goku, as clueless as he may have been, was not as oblivious as he was 8 months prior, and recognized that Caulifla was lying and was trying to avoid the subject, but not for the same reasons as the topic of the Uzaru. This was different. Goku was willing to drop the subject and let it be as he would normally do, but at the same time, he wanted to voice his own opinion on the matter. He had a newfound understanding of relationships thanks to Caulifla's help with studies during training, yet was having a difficult time processing it all, now that it was being put to the test. I'll go talk to Chi-Chi after the tournament and try to clear things up, Goku finally spoke up after several minutes of silence. I'm sorry I brought this up. Caulifla was still pouting and did not turn to face Goku, but sighed before replying. You don't have to do that for me. I still want to clear things up, Goku continued. I just hope she'll understand. Knowing your luck, she won't take it well, Caulifla guessed, still feeling dejected. Won't know until I ask. The two sat in silence for the rest of their voyage to their destination, which fortunately was not very long, and they arrived within minutes. Papaya Island. The two suit-wearing children walked along the sidewalk, looking for the sign-up booth for the tournament, with Goku being the more distracted, as he had never been to such an island before. I thought it would be busier, Goku wondered, seeing the city rather empty. Maybe it's because it's still morning. Guess not everyone's an early riser like us, Caulifla commented, also taking note of the lack of activity. Might be another hour or two before Mutant Roshi's plane arrives, if I had to guess. No harm in signing up early though, right? Goku suggested, turning to see Caulifla's mood still sour, who simply nodded in agreement. The two began their search for the sign-up booth for the Tenkaichi Budokai, asking the early morning goers for directions until after 30 minutes of searching, they came across what looked like the temple where the competition was being held, with several monks out front coordinating the ever-increasing crowd to separate the competitors from the spectators. Eventually the sign-up booth was found, with a slightly sleepy yet cheerful monk setting up the desk, and the two made their way over. Good morning, Caulifla greeted, putting on a guise of common politeness for the monk at the booth. We're here to sign up for the Tenkaichi Budokai. You two plan to enter? The monk repeated with surprise, to see two well-dressed children seeking to enter this prestigious competition. Well, I would sign you two up, but competitors will have to wait until 9 a.m. for registrations to open up, and it is currently 7:30. I'm still setting up the registration forms as we speak. Thank you for your time, Caulifla bowed with a slight edge in her voice. She proceeded to march away, with Goku quick to follow. If possible, Caulifla's temper had soured even more, and it showed once they were a fair distance away from the temple. I take back what I said about putting up with this kerfuffle over Roshi on an airplane. At least it would have been funny to see him punched. Goku began thinking, which is still a new feeling to the boy, about what he could do to make the situation better and not so tense. He could make a quick trip to Mount Fripen before registration opens up and clear things up with Chi-Chi and Gyumao, and Kintoan would be able to get him there within minutes so he could get it done with time to spare, yet Caulifla turned the idea down, and doing so could make her angrier. Another option would be to bring out one of his HOI poi capsules which he had purchased during training with his construction work Zenny, and the two could have some pre-packaged travel food he made for the long run to pass the time, but even their vast appetites had their limits, and to eat again so soon after such a hearty breakfast would be overkill. A third option would be to let Caulifla have some space to herself. She likes maintaining personal space, and leaving her alone for a bit would help her calm down. At the same time, Goku still wanted to clear things up with Chi-Chi for her own sake and not just Caulifla's, so eventually he came to a decision. "I'm gonna take a trip with Kintoon for a little," Goku announced, catching Caulifla's attention. "Where to? I dunno yet, but I'll be back before registrations open up." Caulifla's gaze harshened, as she grew suspicious at this sudden decision to take a trip with Kintoon out of the blue, and without her. Normally Goku would ask if she wanted to come along, but made no such offer this time. The pieces of this proverbial puzzle began to fall into place in her head, then her gaze softened, and a smile formed across her lips. "Fine, just don't be gone long." "All right," Goku acknowledged, looking towards the sky. "I'll be back soon." Kintoon. Spurred by its master's command, the cloud descended from the sky, eagerly awaiting its master's command, who proceeded to board the marshmallow-like cloud, making sure not to scuff his suit. The boy passed an aside glance to Caulifla, who simply looked away with a newfound pout, and the cloud began to dart towards its master's destination. When Goku was out of sight, her pout vanished, and Caulifla began thinking to herself. "I guess it's not all bad. If it weren't for me, he'd probably be accosted by that girl when he got older. Probably for the best." Caulifla's mind then took a different turn. "Maybe I can play a little mind game when he gets back." With that thought, a mischievous grin dawned on her face as she planned her little game. Mount Fripen. The tropical valley that was home to Mount Fripen was as lively as it had been before, during, and after Gyumao's castle and the mountain it was resting atop of caught aflame. The centerpiece that was Mount Fripen has long since been destroyed when mutant Roshi used the Kamehameha to extinguish the flames, but accidentally destroyed the mountain and castle in the process. Since then, Gyumao has rebuilt his abode with a more modest architecture, building a large cabin that was more equivalent to a mansion with his bare hands, which was an easy feat given his own training was under mutant Roshi himself, and opted for a more modest lifestyle. Outside this mansion of a cabin, Gyumao was doing some light gardening, a sight none could have seen the great and terrible Gyumao doing several months prior, until a familiar whirring sound caught his attention. Looking up from watering his petunias, he saw the familiar yellow streak of Kintoon approach his abode, and waved. "Hey Goku." Gyumao jovially called out. "Long time no see kid." "Hey Mr. Gyumao." Goku responded in kind. "How are things going?" "Pretty good," the Ox King answered. "Why the fancy get up? Are you here to go on a date with Chi-Chi?" "Actually I'm wearing this before entering the Tenkaichi Budokai," Goku elaborated. "I just wanted to speak with Chi-Chi to clear things up on something before that." "The Tenkaichi Budokai," Gyumao shouted with surprise, and then let out a jolly laugh. "You've been training with mutant Roshi, haven't ya? That sure takes me back. You entered the Tenkaichi Budokai before?" Goku questioned, but tried to remain focused on his task at hand. "That's cool. Still, I need to speak with Chi-Chi about marriage." "Ah, I understand if you've got cold feet lad," Gyumao consoled. "But I'm afraid Chi-Chi's not here right now. She wanted me to write down a training regimen similar to mutant Roshi's and went off. I don't know where she's gone. I can tell her when she gets back though." "Well, I didn't know what I was agreeing to at the time," Goku elaborated. "I know what marriage is now, thanks to the studying part of mutant Roshi's training, but before that, I thought it was food." Gyumao fell backwards with a thud that, if heard correctly, sounded like an intoned timpani drum. After 2 seconds of silence, The giant Ox King pushed himself to his feet and let out a nervous chuckle. Oh, I'm sorry about that, lad. I gotta appreciate your honesty though. Sorry I brought the news like this, Goku apologized. I wanted to tell her myself, but if you'll tell her, I'd appreciate it. Sure thing, kiddo. Gyumao agreed. In the meantime, can I get you anything for your troubles? That's okay. Goku waved off, but then thought back to when Gyumao said he had entered the tournament. Although, could you tell me about your time at the Tenkaichi Budokai? Sure. Gyumao eagerly agreed. Me and your grandpa Gohan made it through the preliminary rounds no problem. We were in the same bracket, but I lost the first round against this guy named Jackie Chun. Gohan made it to the semifinals, but got beat by the same guy, who managed to take home the tournament. He was strong, and what Mutant Roshi said after the matches was something we both held onto. There will always be a stronger opponent to test you. Winning a tournament doesn't make you the best, and you shouldn't be satisfied with your strength at that level if you win. Always look to push yourself further. Wow. Goku stood there in awe at Gyumao's summarized story. So, regardless if I win, I should keep training to be stronger. That's the gist of it, kiddo, Gyumao grinned. Also, say hi to Mutant Roshi for me when you get the chance. Will do. Goku agreed, as he boarded Kintoon. Thanks for the chat, Mr. Gyumao. Likewise. Kintoon proceeded to zip into the sky for its return trip to Papaya Island at the same pace as it had left, allowing Goku to sit back with a slightly more clear conscience. He couldn't tell Chi-Chi directly, but Gyumao had agreed to tell her in his place when she returned. Now the other matter remained: how to tell Caulifla without getting her mad. Papaya Island. Goku looked around for any clear signs of Caulifla from his magical perch, but could not find her as the crowd in the city below had increased by the time he got back. His attention was pulled away by the call of two familiar voices. Looking in the direction of the noise, Goku saw Mutant Roshi and Kuririn waving and signaling Goku to come down. Goku ushered Kintoon to follow, and the boy jumped off his cloud perch once a suitable altitude was reached. Hey guys. Goku greeted, only to notice Caulifla was with them as well, just not making her presence known as much as the two bald males. Was I gone long? You weren't gone long, Caulifla answered flatly while pouting. These two just got here. So, how was your flight? Goku asked the two. Mutant Roshi tried to get a little too friendly with one of the flight attendants, Kuririn explained, a mild look of disdain aimed at the Kame Sennin. But besides that, nothing big. Damn right, nothing big, Roshi shouted. That dress masked the truth, and the truth was almost as flat as old soda. So, where were you off to before we showed up, Goku? Kuririn asked. Caulifla said you wanted to take a quick trip before registrations opened up, but you never said where to. Goku began to nervously sweat. Explaining to Kuririn and Roshi was no problem, as they were not involved in his situation, but Caulifla was also present, and her temper was not something he wanted to stir. I wanted to pay a quick visit to Mr. Gyumao, Goku hesitantly answered, trying to pick his words without outright lying. By the way, he says, hi, Mutant Roshi. Well, that's nice to hear, the Kame Sennin smiled, pleased to hear his former student doing well. But why did you want to visit Gyumao? Noticing Goku's demeanor shift at the subject, Caulifla decided now to play her little mind game. Was it to clear things up about something? Caulifla inquired, drawing out her words but not too much such as to arouse suspicion. Something about food. Why yeah, it was a misunderstanding about food. Goku confirmed, still nervous. Did Caulifla catch on to what he was doing? She doesn't seem as angry as before, but still looked upset. Kuririn and Roshi shrugged, knowing that food was a big topic for the boy, and let it be. Well, registrations won't be open for another hour, Roshi pointed out, looking at his watch. I'm gonna go grab a coffee in the meantime. We'll meet up in front of the temple before registrations open up at 9 a.m. Tournament preliminaries start at 10 o'clock a.m., so don't be late. With all due respect, Caulifla spoke up, dropping her pout. Could we change into something a little less formal? Oh, but of course, Roshi answered, pulling out a suitcase. I almost forgot your new GIS. Fit for students of the Turtle School. Inside the suitcase were 3 sets of orange GI, marked with the symbol, GUE, on the torso to the left, as well as on the back. One of the sets included a blue short-sleeved undershirt, likely reserved for Caulifla, and respective wristbands and shoes were grouped to the side. The 3 students took their respective outfits and looked at them with interest. The problem of finding a place to change quickly arose, but was quickly put to rest when some public restrooms were pointed out nearby. One by one, the trio emerged wearing their new uniforms, ready to take on the tournament. I like the orange, Goku announced with glee, looking at his new outfit. Orange and blue isn't really me, but I can roll with it, Caulifla commented. I hope I can prove worthy of wearing this, Kuririn muttered, ready for action. Alright, I'm gonna go get that coffee, Roshi announced. Kuririn proceeded to follow, but stopped to reconsider his decision given the Kame Sennin's notorious behavior, and opted to simply forge his own path, exploring the city in the meantime, leaving Goku and Caulifla alone once again, before the spiky-haired boy spoke up. So, it was that obvious? Goku asked, turning to Caulifla, causing her to slightly flinch with surprise. Yeah, I'm surprised you beat my little mind game, Caulifla answered with a small smile. Mind game? Goku questioned. He wasn't as clueless as before, but there was still much for him to learn. A little game to see if I can get any reactions out of you, Caulifla clarified. You got nervous, but you managed to answer without lying and without spilling the beans at the same time. Oh, I get it, Goku understood. So, I'm guessing you're not mad anymore. Nah, I'm fine now, Caulifla waved off. I guess I needed the space to myself to calm down, plus you did say you wanted to clear it up for your sake as well. Well, I tried to, but Chi-Chi wasn't home. Her dad Mr. Gyumao said he'd tell her though. Goku added. She wasn't home? Caulifla inquired, a mild edge returning to her voice. Mr. Gyumao said she went off to train, but never said where, Goku elaborated. Oh, Caulifla responded flatly. Well, I can't fault you for trying. Did you know that he and Grandpa Gohan entered the tournament also? Really? How far did they get? Mr. Gyumao lost in the first round to a guy named Jackie Chun, and Grandpa Gohan lost in the semifinals to the same guy. He seems like a strong guy to be able to beat them both. Mr. Gyumao also said that Mutant Roshi's lesson was to use the tournament as a test of strength, but martial artists should continue to push themselves regardless if they win or lose. Sounds like the layman's version of what Mutant Roshi told us before we left. How there will always be stronger opponents we should be ready for. I'm up for that. At the very least we could have fun during the tournament. Couldn't agree more. Tenkaichi Budokai, Preliminary Arena. The trio of Turtle School students were surrounded by a wide variety of competitors. Most looked impressive and strong, while some others looked more speedy to make up for their lanky frames. A select few looked downright pathetic, hoping to get lucky. Goku and Caulifla were looking around to see what kind of competition they were gonna face, while Kuririn was a tad more apprehensive, thinking he may not be ready and rushed into this. Their trains of thought were broken when an elderly monk cleared his throat into his microphone atop one of the preliminary arena mats. Greetings, competitors, the old monk spoke with a wispy yet fortified voice. For 5 years, many of you have trained for this opportunity to be crowned the strongest under the heavens, coming from all corners of the earth. This year we have 137 masters of combat eager to perform, but only the 8th of May proceed to the final rounds. This year truly promises to hold a fierce competition. I shall now go over the rules before contestants may draw lots for their rounds. All contestants will fight atop these mats one-on-one for the preliminaries. Should any opponent fall off these mats, plead mercy, or be rendered unconscious, they lose. However, killing is strictly prohibited, as well as the use of external weaponry. The matches will last up to 1 minute, and if a victor is not determined in that time, our judges will declare a victor. Due to the amount of competitors, qualifying rounds will be divided into 4 blocks, with the 2 victors of each block moving on to the final rounds. Everyone in an orderly fashion, draw 1 slip of paper from this box and compare the number on your paper with that on the whiteboard to determine which block you will be in. May the best fighter win. Everyone proceeded to form a double column line to draw their paper. In time, the trio drew their numbers, with Goku and Kuririn ending up in Block 3 with numbers 70 and 93 respectively, and Caulifla in Block 2 with a number 31. Well, I'll be waiting by Block 2, guys, Caulifla announced as she marched over to the Block 2 fighting mat. Hopefully your first match is done before I start. Aw man, I don't wanna fight you. Kuririn shouted nervously. You shouldn't have to worry about it, Kuririn, Goku responded. We're in different branches, so we both have a shot. Both have a shot at losing is more like it. An unfamiliar voice called out to the two, but the voice was all too familiar to Kuririn. Who'da thought short stuff here would be entering the Tenkaichi Budokai expecting to win? A taller, older monk of the Orin Temple laughed, with his heavier friend joining in, mockingly patting Kuririn on his bald scalp. I can't wait to see you make him cry like the baby he is. The larger monk added, causing the lankier monk to laugh. Kuririn started to feel dejected, but Goku spoke up, a slightly irritated expression taking over his face. You might be surprised at what he can do nowadays, Goku spoke back. You should see my fight to get a good idea. Yeah, whatever, the taller monk waved off, uninterested in watching Goku's fight. I hope you're right, Fernhead, 'cause otherwise our little match-up is gonna be a breeze. As the lanky monk spoke, he held up his paper, reading, 94, causing Kuririn to panic, before the 2 former colleagues walked away laughing. Numbers 72 and 73, you're up. The prompter at the Block 3 mat spoke. Well, that's my cue. Goku stood up, tightening his obi, ready to fight. He clambered onto the mat and stood at one side, the other filled by a large burly man with a blue single-shoulder leotard, with no visible hair on his body apart from his eyebrows and a very thick and well-groomed mustache, curled at the ends. What is these? The large man spoke with an accent almost as thick as his mustache. There is no joy in crocheting sock and ant. I've fought bigger anyways, Goku remarked, taking a fortified stance. 1 minute, go, the prompter shouted, signaling the 2 to start. In an instant, Goku vanished, causing the large man to quickly look around for his target. Goku quickly reappeared behind the man's calf and tapped him on the hamstring in an attempt to spook him, but to everyone's surprise, the large man fell forwards and out of the ring, leaving the prompter to announce Goku as the victor, and onlooking competitors to think the big man was merely clumsy. As Goku walked off the mat, he looked at his hand with awe, and Kuririn raced over to him. What luck! Kuririn shouted with glee. Who'da thought you'd get such a clumsy oaf first round? That's not it, Goku muttered, still inspecting his hand. You might want to hold back, unless your opponent is super strong. Wah, he didn't trip. Look at where I tapped his leg. Kuririn looked over at the big man, who was struggling to push himself up only to stumble for a bit, saw a very large bruise where his left leg's hamstrings were, and quickly caught on. Ooh, now I get it, Kuririn nodded. The first matches for all 4 blocks proceeded swiftly, some matches won legitimately and with honor, others were more sad and pathetic in their displays. Eventually, Kuririn's match came up next, up against his former colleague of the Orin Temple. Go get him, buddy, Goku cheered, aiding Kuririn's faltering confidence. The lanky monk looked as smug as he did when he first introduced himself. Oh, this should be good, the monk muttered, ready to make Kuririn cry like a baby, but the dwarf held steady, assuming a fortified stance similar to Goku's, and launched towards the taller monk, fist forward, landing square in the lanky monk's abdomen. Too fast for him to react, and too strong to withstand, the taller monk buckled over, clutching his stomach with a whimper, leaving the prompter to declare Kuririn as the winner. You were right. Kuririn addressed Goku with newfound confidence and a massive grin as he left the mat. I'm now upset I doubted myself. I told you. Goku responded with a laugh. Now, let's go see Caulifla's round. The two walked over to Block 2 to see the matchup between number 31 and 32, but before they could see who was up currently, a bright flash emanated from the Block 2 mat, and a large, repulsive man of foul odor was launched from the mat through the opposite wall and into a vacant wash basin far outside. Caulifla hopped down from her mat, declared the victor, dry heaving and scrunching her nose as she had to put up with the most repugnant odor on earth. I don't care if the Kamehameha tolls my stamina, I am not touching that bacterian guy or whatever he calls himself. Caulifla strained between dry heaves. Good thing I don't have a nose, Kuririn commented after seeing that bacterian guy go flying through the wall. I guess our matchups might be uneventful, Goku remarked, seeing how easily Caulifla launched the stinky man out of the arena, much to everyone's relief. I better get ready for my second round. True to his suspicions, the remaining matchups were uneventful, as the trio cleaned up the competition with ease, each earning a place in the final rounds. When the rounds concluded, the finalists were given a 30-minute recess to recover strength for the main event. The Turtle School students were idly chatting about who they might fight in the final rounds when an unfamiliar voice, familiar to Goku, called from the other end of the mat they were gathered around. Hey Goku! The voice called out. The trio all turned to see a young man with short black hair, a green and orange GI with a scarf, along with a white headband, approach. Long time no see, who are you? Goku asked. You don't remember who I am? The man asked back with surprise, but then smirked and took a confident stance. Not even my Rogafufukin. Yamcha. Goku beamed, now realizing it was Yamcha, but with much shorter hair. Long time no see. I heard there was this kid cleaning up competition, so I had to be sure, Yamcha elaborated. So you got into the final rounds also? Yeah, all three of us did. 4 if you pulled it off also. Goku answered, happy to see his old friend. Sorry I didn't recognize you with the short hair. It's fine, Yamcha happily waved it off. It was Bulma's idea. Apparently long hair is, last decade, in West City, so, yeah. I gotta admit I'm kinda bummed that I might not win the competition though, since you're entering. Well, I won't think any less of you regardless, Goku consoled. Thanks, Yamcha replied, just now noticing Goku's two friends. So Goku, who are these two? Friends of yours? And fellow students? Kuririn announced with a small hint of pride before bowing. My name's Kuririn. And I'm Caulifla, Caulifla greeted, also bowing. Nice to meet you. Likewise, Yamcha replied, now feeling more sullen about his chances at victory. I'd be lucky if I made it to the semifinals with these three. By the way, Bulma, Oolong and Puer are out by the spectator area if you wanna go say hi. Oolong is here too. Goku shouted with glee. I figured Bulma and Puer would be with you, but I guess he wants to watch too. Goku immediately began looking for the spectator area where Bulma and the others are residing, with Kuririn and Caulifla following close behind. It took some time to find them amongst the crowd, but Bulma's lavender hair, and her audible thumping of Roshi's skull, were too distinct for the spiky-haired boy to miss, and he found the group, much to their surprise. Hey Bulma! Goku shouted, in an effort to get their attention. Goku! Bulma shouted back, glad to see her friend for the first time in months. Long time no see, Squirt. Did you qualify for the final rounds? Yep, all three of us, including Yamcha. Goku answered, practically bouncing. This is Kuririn and Caulifla. We were training with Mutant Roshi. Kuririn bowed with a simple, hello, while Caulifla outstretched a hand to Bulma with a, hi there, causing the lavender-haired girl to reciprocate with a handshake. So, how did you guys meet? Bulma inquired, somewhat curious about their meeting. I was seeking out Mutant Roshi for training and showed up shortly after these two cloud lovers arrived. Kuririn answered, grinning and gesturing to the two in question. Will you shut it, pachinko head? Caulifla snapped at Kuririn for his choice of words, her face turning red. Kuririn raised his hands defensively while letting out a nervous chuckle and smile. Okay. So Kuririn sought out Mutant Roshi like Goku, but what about you, Caulifla? Bulma further inquired. Well, truth be told, Goku brought me along. Caulifla trailed off, looking away with decreasing volume. She was looking for answers and found her way to my house before I came home from Pilaf's castle, Goku elaborated, keeping the sensitive details omitted. I was able to help her after a rough introduction and brought her along after. And he would still be a clueless moron if it weren't for me, Caulifla added, smiling that Goku was choosing his words wisely for her sake. Ah, well, you two would make a cute couple, Bulma commented, not knowing she, like Kuririn, stepped into the hot plate. We're not a couple. Caulifla shouted, face turning red once again. Hey, I said you would, not that you were. Bulma retorted, raising her hands up, but grinned in spite of herself. Before our recess ends, anyone want lunch? Goku asked, pulling out a HOI poi capsule. I brought plenty. Everyone in the group accepted Goku's offer, and for the next 20 minutes, the group was introduced to Goku's culinary handiwork thanks to his newfound cooking skills, as well as the usual decimation that occurs when Goku and Caulifla eat, and were surprised to see the young monkey boy make such delicious food. I still remember when he did nothing more than skewer a coyote and millipede over a campfire, Bulma commented, thoroughly enjoying the grilled dinosaur steak. This is actually some of the best food I've had in a while, and I've had some good food. It's good to get creative with food ideas, Goku commented, pleased to see his friends enjoying his handiwork. Of course I know there are limits. At least we can agree pineapple doesn't go with pizza, right? Oolong spoke up in between bites of his own steak. Thank you. Caulifla exasperatingly agreed, earning an annoyed look from Goku. Goku likes it, heaven knows why, but I guess to each their own. Still better than vegan pizza. Right. Goku agreed. I'd much prefer a good salad over some fake pizza. Goku and Caulifla proceeded to get into a heated discussion about their disdain for vegan foods and their existence, leaving Bulma and the others, barring Kuririn, dumbfounded and amazed. It's like they're made for each other, Bulma quietly commented, still surprised to see Goku so invested in conversation with someone. Well, obviously, Oolong agreed, but not as subtly. Have you seen how they wolf down their food? I hate to interrupt, but isn't your recess almost up? Puer spoke up, noticing how much time had passed since they sat down for lunch. Oh right, the trio simultaneously replied, now cleaning up their dishware and heading back. Feel free to have the leftovers. They call this leftovers. Bulma muttered, seeing an organized pile of food that could easily feed the group for 3 days straight. Hey, where's Mutant Roshi? Oolong asked, noticing the hermit was missing. He need to use the bathroom or something. Alright, all finalists please assemble. A man with blonde hair, black sunglasses, and a clean-cut suit called out. We're going to draw lots to determine match-ups and the schedule for each match. Please come forward and draw a slip when I call your name. Ahem, an old man with a similar haircut to the blonde man but with a much fuller beard approached, tugging one of the competitors with him by the arm. I want to fight this young lady here. That beard, Goku thought, looking at the old man inquisitively. Not to mention his scent, his voice. It's gotta be, right? Caulifla pondered in her head, her thoughts reflecting Goku's. I can't allow selective matches, sir, the announcer retorted. Now where was I? Oh yeah, Namu. A tall, lanky man with a single shoulder outfit and turban approached, drawing his number, his expression stern yet determined. Number 6. Okay then, match 3, the announcer muttered, writing Namu's name under his respective bracket. Kaiju Jiren. Yo, a large dinosaur-like being with single-digit wings, a single horn atop his snout, and a pointed cranium approached, outstretching his hand to the monk holding the box. My hands are a bit big. Could you pick one for me? Sure, the monk hesitantly complied, intimidated by this Kaiju Jiren's presence. Number 7. Caulifla. Right here, the spiky-haired girl approached the box, reaching in and pulling out number 4, leading the announcer to write her name down in the respective bracket. Yamcha. Here, the former desert bandit approached, drawing his number from the box, and much to his misfortune, it was number 3. Oh boy, at least it's not with the lady over there. Kuririn. Right over here, sir. Kuririn spoke up, making his approach to the box, reaching as far as he could to pull out a number, leaving the monk attendant to ask for help, but Kuririn got his number in the end, and it was number 1. Ran Fuan. Hiya. The purple-haired woman spoke up, daintily approaching the box, drawing out number 2. So I gotta fight this bald kid. Song Oku. The announcer struggled to read the name on his clipboard. Is there a Song Oku anywhere? Do you mean, Son Goku? Goku spoke up, seeing the clear error. Sorry, my handwriting's kinda bad. Okay, my bad, the announcer relaxed, adjusting his shades, leaving the boy to wonder why he was trying to read names with sunglasses on indoors, and motioning for the boy to draw his number, which was 8. Cool, I get to fight this Kaiju Jiren guy. Goku announced, pleased to see he gets a tough-looking opponent. Jackie Chun. Yup. The old man, now identified as Jackie Chun, stood forward, surprising Goku, as he had heard of the man from Gyumao's stories. Since he was the last called, Jackie Chun was number 5, to fight against Namu. Jackie Chun, Goku exclaimed, now seeing the fabled martial arts master in person, leaving Kuririn and Caulifla mildly confused. Alright, that's the schedule, the announcer announced. Let me go over the rules just to be clear. Each matchup will be 1 round with no time limit. Should you land outside the ring or cry, "Uncle," you lose. Also, attacks to the eyes and vulnerables below the belt are prohibited. Now, please proceed to the green room. As the finalists proceeded, Goku tugged on Jackie Chun's black sleeve to get his attention. Excuse me, are you the same Jackie Chun that defeated Mr. Gyumao and Son Gohan a long time ago? The very same, the old master responded, mildly surprised that Goku knew who he was. Why do you ask? I hope to give you a run for your money, sir, Goku exclaimed, a sporting grin dawning on his face. I also plan to get stronger regardless if I win. Hearing this cracked a smile on the old man's face, as if pleased to hear these words, before Goku spoke up again, but with a very quiet whisper. By the way, change up the cologne next time and I won't recognize you, Mutant Roshi, Goku grinned. Jackie Chun subtly flinched at this remark, but kept his cool. You confuse me for someone else. I am Jackie Chun, the old man retorted, but then leaned in for a whisper. No one is supposed to know, lad. I bet Caulifla knows also, Goku whispered back. But I'll keep things quiet. Try to keep your quirks around women calm and you'll define. Jackie Chun frowned at the last remark, but nodded. The old man walked onward as Caulifla and Kuririn caught up with Goku, the former speaking up first. So you figured it out too? Goku nodded, leaving Kuririn confused. Figured out what? The monk asked. Ooh, just what kind of competition we can expect. Caulifla cheekily answered, causing Goku to snicker, leaving the dwarf even more confused. The crowd of finalists made their way to the green room as the announcer stepped out onto the marble arena surrounded by the crowd, microphone in hand, ready to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. The announcer shouted into his microphone with vigor. Our first round with contestants Kuririn and Ranfuin will begin momentarily. Let's see who shall win the 500,000 zeni and take home the title of strongest under the heavens. Before we begin, let's have a word from the head monk of the temple. Sir, if you would please. Responding to the announcer, an elderly dog man, likely of St. Bernard heritage, stepped forward, grabbing the microphone from the announcer, with a tired look in his eyes. He then simply, woof, into the microphone and then handed it back to the announcer, walking back inside. Thank you very much, sir. The announcer spoke with glee, as some of the crowd fell backwards at the absurdity of what just happened. Now without further ado, could both contestants please come forward? The crowd cheered as Ranfuin stepped forward, now wearing a new layer of makeup, enjoying hearing the cheers and waving at the crowd, while Kuririn was all sorts of nervous, not just for this round, but the next. Cheers for Kuririn came from Bulma's group as well as Goku and Caulifla from the green room, helping the monk's confidence a tad. Our little contestant here, Kuririn is the youngest to enter the Tenkaichi Budokai, at the ripe age of 13. If the mark on his GI is anything to go by, he is either a big fan of Mutant Roshi, or quite possibly a student. As for his opponent Ranfuin, she is a virtual unknown, but looks eager to take home the gold. As a reminder to both contestants, should you fall outside the ring, plead mercy, or end up knocked down for more than 10 seconds, you lose. Without further ado, round 1 shall begin. A monk nearby swung a muted mallet at a gong to signal the start of the match. Kuririn immediately took a fortified stance, waiting to see what Ranfuin would try first. She took the cue and began charging forward, launching her fists at the bald dwarf, but missing completely, much to the woman's frustration and the monk's surprise at his own abilities. Hold still, you little, Ranfuin shouted, punctuated by her empty punches. Kuririn saw that evading her attacks would be easy, so elected to go on the offensive, throwing a held-back punch to Ranfuin's stomach, causing the woman to buckle as she tried to catch her breath, until she started crying. This is quite a turn of events. The announcer shouted. One punch to the stomach and Ranfuin is crying. Oh, sorry miss. I didn't mean to. Kuririn immediately apologized, dropping his guard. Seeing this golden opportunity, Ranfuin leapt forward with a kick aimed squarely at Kuririn's 6 marks on his forehead, only to quickly block the incoming attack, not giving any ground in the process. Oh, so we're playing mind games. How about I do this? Kuririn launched off the marble tile, charging at Ranfuin, who was freaked out by the dwarf's speed and braced herself for a punch, but none came. Instead, 2 small arms wrapped around her waist and hoisted her up like a forklift, prompting her to struggle to break free but to no avail. Kuririn then casually walked over to the edge of the arena, whistling a tune, and tossed Ranfuin onto the grass. Unbelievable. In record time, Kuririn has tossed his opponent Ranfuin out of bounds. The announcer exclaimed. Kuririn is the winner. The crowd cheered, as Kuririn sheepishly scratched the back of his scalp, taking a bow to his downed opponent and walking back to the green room. Nice one, Kuririn. Goku greeted the monk, glad to see he won so easily. You didn't even break a sweat. Thanks, man. Kuririn responded with a grin. I will say I'm uneasy about my next fight though. Well, it's my turn. Caulifla stood up, tightening her blue obi. Wish me luck. May the best fighter win, and approaching Yamcha spoke, before leaning towards Goku to whisper. How strong is she compared to you? About as strong as I am, Goku whispered back, causing Yamcha's expression to frown a bit. What an excellent first round, folks. The announcer called into his microphone. We will now proceed with the second round with contestant Yamcha versus contestant Caulifla. The crowd cheered as the two competitors stepped out of the green room, a mixture of comments about the upcoming fight, but the loudest cheering came from Bulma in favor of Yamcha. "Knock her dead, babe," she shouted, much to Puer's shared sentiment and Oolong's annoyance. Contestant Yamcha is a resident of West City with quite a background in martial arts, while contestant Caulifla is a virtual unknown, but it looks as if her GI matches up with that of Kuririn from the first round, so she may have studied with mutant Roshi as well. Without further ado, round 2 shall begin. The gong rang as the two took their respective stances, a moment of calm before the two would begin, each waiting for the other to move first. Yamcha was tense, but Caulifla was relaxed. Seconds passed and no movement. Caulifla swiveled her outstretched wrist into a beckoning motion to make Yamcha take the first move. The former bandit complied and launched forward from his place on the marble title, launching a quick volley of jabs at Caulifla's short frame, each missing their mark, and causing her to jump up into the air over Yamcha's head when he tried to do a sweep kick at her legs. Right before Caulifla landed, she let loose a kick of her own at Yamcha's back, causing the man to stumble forward. "Geez," Yamcha groaned, holding his back as he turned to his opponent. "Nimble little runt, aren't ya? If you have an ace up your sleeve, now's the time," Caulifla said, taking the same stance once more. "Fine, but you asked for it," Yamcha declared, taking a stance Goku and his friends remember very well. Rogafufukin. Taking the visage of a wolf, Yamcha curled his fingers in a claw formation, before thrusting both hands forward to release a gust of wind directly at Caulifla. Seeing this attack coming, she jumped up into the air again to avoid the gust, only to have Yamcha jump up above her to try and send her back down with a double axe handle, only to be stopped by a swift kick to the face by the smaller opponent. The two landed, Yamcha's frustration mounting, while Caulifla looked bored. "Neat move using wind pressure to throw me off," Caulifla commented. "But it's not a real Ki, now is it? Ki, what are you?" Before Yamcha could finish his question, Caulifla forced both of her palms forward, and with a mighty shout, an even more powerful gust of wind than the one Yamcha created emanated from her being, and sent the bandit flying into the wall past the bounds of the arena. "Sorry," Caulifla shouted, surprised at her own handiwork. "Should have dialed that one back a bit." "Unbelievable," the announcer shouted with glee. Contestant Yamcha displayed a truly unique technique only to be countered by an even stronger equivalent by contestant Caulifla. And seeing as Yamcha has landed out of bounds, Caulifla is the winner. Caulifla bowed politely as Yamcha pulled himself out of the rubble of the wall, now feeling bad that he had lost so easily, and to a little girl, no less. Caulifla approached the bandit, holding out a hand to help him up. "Good fight, Yamcha," Caulifla commented. "No hard feelings, I hope." "None at all," Yamcha replied, taking her hand and being easily hoisted out of the rubble, stood at his full height, expression still sullen. "Guess I still got a lot to learn, Guess so," Caulifla answered. She returned to the green room while Yamcha simply left the arena ground to join Bulma, who was upset Yamcha lost, but took it in stride, making the ex-bandit feel better. "I didn't know you could do that," Kuririn exclaimed as Caulifla entered the green room, more from apprehension of his now confirmed fight with her in the semifinals than admiration. "Oh come on," Caulifla retorted, annoyed at Kuririn's words. "We all figured it out before our training shells doubled." "Yeah, but I didn't." "Seriously, stop doubting yourself, Kuririn," Goku interrupted. "It's best to take it as it comes. You took out that bully from your temple easily, so try and relax." "Okay." Kuririn nodded, trying to regain his composure. "I'm just nervous is all. Give it your all. It's all a learning experience, like Mutant Roshi said. Will round 3 contestants please step forward?" The blonde announcer called out from the arena. Immediately, the man known as Nemu stood up, closely followed by Jackie Chun, the former more stony and focused than the other. The two stepped into the arena to be greeted by cheers from the audience. Jackie Chun is a returning favorite from the 16th Tenkaichi Budokai, easily besting the competition laid out before him and taking home the gold that year. Nemu, on the other hand, is a virtual unknown, but looks determined to win as well. Do not hold this fight against me with prejudice, Nemu spoke up, a grave tone in his voice. I do this for my village. I may be able to aid you regardless, Chun responded, taking a stance. I understand your plight, but we shall go through this matter first. I will hold you to that, sir, Nemu finished, taken aback at what Jackie Chun was saying, but took a stance of his own. But my priorities remain steadfast. What do you think they're talking about? Kuririn muttered, watching from the green room. Probably some form of reparation if Nemu loses, Caulifla added, overhearing their conversation with ease. Yeah, Nemu seems to be here less for a good fight and more for a cause, Goku observed, his social understanding coming into play. I think Jackie Chun is playing things out and will help him out after the round. Your guy's hearing is so good it's spooky, Kuririn commented, now growing self-conscious if he was muttering in his sleep that Goku and Caulifla could hear it, even from outside, but put such worries down as he realized mutant Roshi's sleep speak would make his seem tame in comparison. Round 3. Begin. The gong rang, and Nemu launched forward with a volley of precision strikes, but not precise enough to hit home. Jackie Chun was avoiding these attacks effortlessly, until he raised his left hand and caught one of Nemu's punches. A fierce combatant with fire in his belly, the elder martial artist commented. However, you have much to learn. I do not claim to be the best, but I will make any efforts to make it so. Nemu shouted, squatting and then springing himself upwards with a massive jump, easily piercing through the low-hanging clouds, and almost hitting a gull. I will make this quick, sir. Jackie Chun craned his neck upwards to see the massive leap Nemu has taken, leaving the crowd to gasp in amazement. Amazing. Nemu has jumped so high up that I can barely see him. The announcer called out, also craning his neck skywards. This is going to be murder for everyone's necks here, mine included. Forgive me for what I must do, sir, but I must win that zeni to purchase the water my village needs. Nemu apologized mentally, before pivoting his body downwards, holding his arms in an X formation in front of him, and plummeting down to earth. Tenkujikan. As if spurred by Nemu's words, his descent increased past terminal velocity, while Jackie Chun stood still, not taking a stance or raising his guard. Nemu looked ahead with surprise, not seeing the old man make any motions to avoid his strike. Right before the attack could strike home, Jackie Chun, faster than anyone could see, redirected Nemu's descent away from the arena and into the grassy turf on the outside. Amazing. The announcer cried out in his microphone. With a swift movement, Jackie Chun has sent his opponent Nemu outside the ring. Jackie Chun is the winner. The old master held up a victory sign, as Nemu shakily pulled himself up from the earth, looking sullen, but took it in stride. He approached Jackie Chun and outstretched his hand. Congratulations, sir. Nemu spoke with a small smile, yet still sullen. I hope you will perform well in the next round. Of course, but I did say I was gonna help you, Jackie Chun responded, a smile bending his beard and mustache. He reached into his pocket pulling out a capsule. Here, it's empty, so you can get the water you need. I appreciate the gesture, but you're not in the desert right now, son, Jackie Chun cut off. Water is not an issue, and you can fill that capsule using that well over there. Free to use. Really? Nemu stammered, barely able to comprehend the possibility. I had no idea. Thank you, sir. I don't know how I could repay you. Think nothing of it, Chun waved it off. Best of luck to you, lad. Nemu graciously bowed, and proceeded to the nearest well to fill his new capsule. The audience broke into applause at this sign of good sportsmanship and generosity. The old master proceeded back into the green room, and Goku stood up ready to go. All right, my turn, Goku exclaimed with excitement. He didn't voice it, but the sensation in his tailbone grew more agitated since this morning, and was clouding his focus. Round 4 contestants, please come forward, the announcer called. Immediately before Goku could walk out, Jiren rudely shoved him away, eager to step into the ring, mildly annoying the boy. Howdy, Jiren roared with gusto, as he entered the arena, with Goku following close behind. Our contestants this time around are virtual unknowns, the both of them, but the smaller one, Son Goku, seems to be wearing the same turtle school gi as Kuririn and Caulifla. It's almost as if Mutant Roshi is trying to win this tournament through numbers, folks. This little shrimp is about to get a lot smaller, Jiren boasted, while Goku did some basic leg stretches. Ooh boy, Goku might be in for a long haul here, Oolong commented, seeing this Jiren enter the ring. I dunno, Bulma questioned. I've seen him take down much bigger. Round 4, begin. Hey kid, check this out, Jiren called out to Goku, holding out his hand. What am I looking at? Goku questioned, getting closer for a look. This here, Jiren held out his hand, nothing in it. You have got to be kidding me, Caulifla groaned, pinching the bridge of her nose that Goku would fall for the oldest trick in the book. I don't see any. Before Goku could finish, Jiren swung his massive tail towards Goku, hitting him across the arena and into the decorative wall connected to it before slumping down. Ha! Too easy, Jiren boasted, thinking he had won. Unbelievable, the announcer cried with a gasp. In one hit Son Goku has been hit by a cheap shot. Goku interrupted, leaping to his feet, unfazed, leaving Jiren slack-jawed that this kid took that hit without flinching. What is this twerp? Jiren questioned, now sweating. He wasn't going to get the answer to his question, but he quickly received a heavy kick to the stomach from a comparatively small foot, winding him as spittle flowed from his jaws as he clutched where he was kicked. Goku leapt over the monster and grabbed his tail, and heaved Jiren over his shoulders and into the air, far away from the arena bounds. What a feat of strength, the announcer commented as the crowd cheered. Despite Son Goku's small stature, he was able to throw Kaiju Jiren into the air and past the arena bounds. This looks like it's, hold up. The announcer cut himself off when he saw that Jiren began flapping his wings to change his airborne vector back to the arena, landing back onto the tiled surface with an audible thud. Nice try, Pipsqueak, Jiren retorted with a grin. Ring outs ain't happening while I'm in the game. Must have strong wings to lift yourself like that, Goku jeered, regarding Jiren's fat appearance, with no effect. Alright, I'll make you cry, uncle, instead. Right back at ya, Jiren roared back, before opening his maw and a pink gum slinked out of his throat, coiling around a surprised Goku. Good luck trying to break out of that. It'll only get stucker the more you fight it. Kaiju Jiren has immobilized Son Goku with some sort of gum, the announcer cried out. It looks like a bodily function, so we cannot fault him for this maneuver. Damn right, it's a bodily function, Jiren confirmed with a grin and thumbs up. It makes catching dinner easier, but I know the rules. Goku struggled to break free of the gum. It was giving way a small bit, but he lacked the strength to break it apart. While he was distracted by his newfound prison, a large lizard-like fist belonging to Jiren punched the boy across the arena, irritating Goku more than injuring him. Before Jiren could land another punch at the gum-bound boy, Goku jumped with what mobility he had in his feet, avoiding the fist. Would you look at that, folks? The announcer shouted. Despite being immobilized by Kaiju Jiren's gum, Son Goku still has enough mobility to jump out of the way. Not for long, Jiren roared, his frustration at this gnat of an opponent increasing. You can't run forever, Twinkle Toes. Sure enough, Jiren's flight by wings made jumping to escape out of the question, and Goku was weighing his options. He could do an outward ki if his muscles cannot break the gum, but that might cost him valuable ki reserves. His train of thought was interrupted when the sensation in his tailbone began to flare up, causing him to lose focus with his jumps, and Jiren caught the boy by the legs. Nice try, kid. Jiren growled mischievously. See ya next week. Jiren pulled his quarry back, ready to throw him out of the arena, earning a collective gasp from Goku's colleagues of the Turtle School, the audience, and the announcer. Jiren threw his hand forward, but there was no gum-entangled Goku in his hand, nor was he over the horizon where he aimed. Where did he go? The answer was wrapped around Jiren's wrist, a brown furry tail connected to Goku's backside, leaving everyone surprised, Goku's friends mildly worried, and Caulifla and Goku himself especially, exceptionally surprised and terrified. My tail grew back. Everyone spectating the battle, the announcer included, was lost for words when they saw that the competitor's son Goku had grown a monkey-like tail out of nowhere. Some thought it was very weird, others thought the kid was pulling some weird trick. The spectators that were more afraid than anything were Bulma, the defeated quarter-finalist Yamcha, and the shape-shifting duo Oolong and Puer. Even Kaiju Jiren was shocked enough at this revelation that he tried to shake off the new appendage wrapped around his wrist. Get it off, get it off, get it off! Jiren shouted, no longer sounding imposing, but more like a panicking cartoon elephant who had just seen a mouse. Goku immediately released his grasp from Jiren's wrist and landed on his feet, expression still shocked from this development, but quickly pulled himself together. Alright, enough of this. Goku strained, as he flexed as hard as he could to break the gum apart, and to his surprise, it was far easier now, as he was able to blast the gum apart with newfound strength. I want to end this round quickly. I give. Please don't hurt me. Jiren quickly threw up his right hand, while waving a tiny white flag in the other, begging the question where he got it from. The beast was sweating bullets at how what he thought was going to be an easy victory, turned into one that was far more than he could stomach, and elected to bail before he got seriously hurt. He also had an absurd phobia of monkeys, and this new development of a monkey tail on this boy was not something he wanted to deal with, and flew away after forfeiting the match. Alright. Contestant Kaiju Jiren loses by forfeit. The announcer collected himself to spectate this new development. Son Goku is the winner. The crowd, despite the development of Goku's regrown appendage, cheered for the boy, and the announcer stepped forward, but not before Kuririn and Caulifla rushed out of the green room to greet their friend. How come you never mentioned the tail, man? Kuririn questioned, both curious and weirded out by Goku. Please tell me you know when the next full moon is. Caulifla demanded, grabbing Goku by the shoulders, visibly shaking at this development. I was gonna ask you the same thing, Goku answered, now feeling much more nervous that his tail is back, along with the curse of the full moon. Full moon? Kuririn inquired, oblivious to the reality involving Goku's tail. His tail gives him allergies. Caulifla hastily answered, sweating nervously. Why yeah, that's it. And it gets really nasty when moonlight is around. Goku swiftly played along and nodded vigorously while displaying a nervous grin. Okay. Kuririn conceded, not buying the story. Well, it's barely the afternoon, so you shouldn't have to worry about hives or sneezing even if it's a full moon tonight. Goku and Caulifla simultaneously sighed, but the announcer stepped forward, eager to interview the trio. Congratulations for making it into the semifinals. The announcer addressed the three. Kuririn said he was 13, but what about you two? I'm 12, Goku answered, causing Kuririn to double take. You said you were 14 before. Kuririn shouted. That was before I learned basic math. Goku retorted, defensively holding up his hands. I knew it. Bulma shouted from the spectator area. Of course he wasn't 14. He clearly didn't know what he was missing out on when he met me. Why are you making a big deal about it? Yamcha asked. only to get smacked by Bulma. I'm 12 also, Caulifla added, wanting the conversation to move on from this subject. Oh okay. The announcer rolled along. By the way Son Goku, is that tail, it isn't real, is it? Yeah, it's real, Goku answered flatly, dropping his GI pants just enough to show where his tail connected, much to Caulifla's relief that he wasn't going to moon anyone, pun not intended. I didn't know it would grow back after it was cut off though. The announcer and Kuririn shrugged at this answer, but Caulifla's mind was working at a million miles a minute with this information. Could her tail grow back as well? Hers was cut off shortly after Goku's, so that would mean that maybe in a few days, her tail would return, and she would once again fear the full moon, lest she become a monster once again and her past repeat itself. Even if she were to get it removed again, it would likely still grow back. So, why was it cut off? The announcer inquired, causing Goku to seize up. It wasn't something he wanted to discuss, given his revelation 8 months prior, and knew his friends were involved. I don't want to talk about it, Goku hesitantly answered. Okay. That's fine, the announcer relented. So, I noticed you three are wearing the same uniform. Is your dojo a fan of Mutant Roshi? Well, we weren't trained at a dojo exactly, Kuririn answered. We were trained by Mutant Roshi himself. Mutant Roshi, the legendary Kame Sennin. For real, the announcer shouted, hardly believing what he was hearing. The master known as the god of martial arts, that Mutant Roshi. Yeah, Goku answered flatly. He doesn't take students these days, but he made an exception for us. Unbelievable, the announcer shouted with glee. I thought you were just fans of his work. Who would have thought these three youngsters had training under the great Kame Sennin himself? Their strength makes sense when you consider it. The last students of his to enter were Son Gohan and Gyumao. Wait, Son Gohan, Son Gok, your Son Gohan's kid. Grandkid, Goku clarified. Adopted grandkid specifically. If it's all the same to you, can we stop this interview? Caulifla asked, less focused on answering the announcer's questions and more about Goku's regrown tail. We're really not in the mood for questions, but maybe after the tournament we can answer. Oh, of course. The announcer relented. We shall take a 20-minute recess before the semifinals, everyone. That should be more than enough time for you to take care of your needs. The crowd of spectators began to stir as several people went to go refill their snacks, use the restroom, and place bets amongst other things. The trio proceeded back to the green room, Kuririn relieved he doesn't have to answer the announcer's questions further, but Goku and Caulifla were worried about the former's tail and whether or not a full moon was tonight or not. I should have brought up that weird feeling in my tailbone sooner, Goku thought aloud, feeling sullen at the fact that he kept such information quiet. If I had known my tail could grow back, I would have said something. Caulifla was now starting to be affected by Goku's bad mood, and fear was compounded with concern. What Goku just said sounded weirdly familiar, and had to speak up. When did this sensation start? A couple days ago, Goku answered. I thought I just bumped against my shell weird and it was a bruise, but it kept feeling weird more and more until, well, this. Why do you ask? Because I've started to get the same feeling since after my fight with Yamcha, Caulifla answered in a grave tone. Even after I had my damn tail removed, it's just gonna grow back. You had a tail also? Kuririn asked, snapping Caulifla out of her reverie. Also, why are you two freaking out about some allergies? Caulifla looked nervous, as the cat was out of the bag this time. Fortunately there was no one else around besides Goku or Jackie Chun, and she knew who he was. She sighed and prepared to explain. Under a full moon, Goku and I turn into Uzaru. Caulifla explained with trepidation. Only when we have our tails though. When I explained to Goku before showing up at Mutant Roshi's, he figured out that the tail is why we transform, and got rid of it for me. So, You're like a werewolf. Kuririn asked. This is worse, Goku clarified, his tone also grave. We grow enormous and lose control. Yamcha, Bulma, Oolong and Puer all saw it and probably realized my tail was my weak spot and cut it off. Only for it to grow back again, Caulifla added, tears welling in her eyes. I thought I was done with being a monster. Your tail didn't grow back, Goku retorted. Yet, Caulifla shouted back, tears now rolling down her face. My tail didn't grow back yet. If what you said is anything to go by, my tail would be back in a few days, and I'd be back at square one. Caulifla held her face in her hands, while Goku's mind began to work. If their tails would just keep growing back, what options were there? Keep cutting their tails off forever, or live with their tails and fear the full moon forever. Even with both options, there was still the very real possibility that either of them would look at a full moon and lose control once again, likely killing someone in the process. There seemed to be no hope for their situation. And then it hit him. Shenlong. Wah. Caulifla looked up, still sniffling. Shenlong. What's that? Not what. Who? Goku clarified, his epiphany forging a grin on his face. He's the dragon god that can be summoned if we gather all 7 Dragon Balls, and he can grant any wish. I told you this story on the way to Mutant Roshi's the first time, remember? Oh right. You think that'll work? Caulifla inquired, unsure about the idea, and was even less certain about the existence of a magical wish-granting dragon, despite Goku claiming to have witnessed the event himself. It's worth a shot, right? Goku answered, giving a gleeful thumbs up. I was planning on searching for Sushinshu after the tournament anyways, but if it'll help us with this problem, I'll gather all 7. I dunno, Caulifla muttered. I'm worried this Shenlong will pull a fast one like a genie would. Make it so our tails don't grow back. Next thing you know we got this crazed guy with a machete, or lunch with a machete, hovering over us waiting for our tails to grow back just to chop them off. I don't think Shenlong is the sort to do that, Goku retorted, adopting a blank expression. Well, excuse me for sounding skeptical about a magical wish-granting dragon. Caulifla snapped, her words oozing sarcastic energy. Do you have any better ideas? Goku asked, a serious look plastered on his face. Caulifla raised a finger and opened her mouth to speak, only to realize she had nothing of substance to offer, and relented from the argument. I still don't think it's a good idea, she muttered. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience, and I hope everyone is ready for the semifinals. The announcer boomed into his microphone, earning a cacophony of excited cheers from the spectators. Will our contestants please step forward? Caulifla and Kuririn both stepped from the green room, both steeling themselves for the battle ahead. They took to opposite sides of the ring, and gave a formal bow to each other before assuming their stances. The first round of the semifinals shall now commence. Taiko drums began to thunder in the background, steadily increasing in tempo, as the 2 child warriors stared each other down, ready to give it their all. When the drums reached a trill, the gong rang and the 2 sprung towards each other. Kuririn launched with a fist outstretched aiming for Caulifla's forehead, but the girl leaned back to avoid the dwarf's punch, skidding on her shins and launching a punch of her own into her opponent's gut, winding the monk. Kuririn let loose a flurry of punches towards Caulifla, most of which she blocked and parried, missing only a few and feeling the pain of each impact. Believing he had Caulifla on the ropes, Kuririn pulled his right hand back, and thrust it forward with a shout, releasing a ki, but Caulifla expected this and vaulted to the right, avoiding the massive gust. Amazing. The announcer crowed. Kuririn has demonstrated the exact same win technique Caulifla has done during her fight with Yamcha. Kuririn looked towards where Caulifla had vaulted, only to see she was not there. He looked around for signs of the spiky-haired girl trying to sneak up on him, only to have a sledgehammer rain down atop his 6 marks and daze him. Caulifla grinned that her little diversion worked, and settled into her stance once more, waiting for Kuririn to do the same, who was far more annoyed than anything else. How'd you get above me? Kuririn demanded an answer. I saw you jump to the right and then you vanished. It's called jumping twice, cue ball. Caulifla jeered with a grin. I knew you were gonna pull something after that ki, but I had a better idea. The battle resumed as the two launched forward, Kuririn's stamina flagging far more against Caulifla's onslaught. She kept playing the defensive role, deflecting Kuririn's attacks until she saw the perfect opportunity to turn the tables. One of Kuririn's punches missed its mark, and Caulifla batted the rogue fist away, dropping down and sweeping the monk's legs, causing the monk to fall to his back, only for his back to be met by a foot going up, sending the rest of him upwards. Caulifla stood up relaxed, looking at her wrist, despite not having a watch, and took a quick step to the left. Coming down from the skies like a meteor, Kuririn had both of his fists outstretched eager to hit Caulifla, but was surprised when she stepped aside, and quickly rebounded to land on his feet, facing away from her. Right as Kuririn spun around to launch another fist at her, Caulifla launched her hand in a cutting motion directly at Kuririn's throat, hitting him in the against the gullet, and launching him against the decorative wall, causing it to crumble over him. With a massive chop to the neck, Kuririn has been launched into the wall. The announcer shouted. I wouldn't blame anyone if they decided to stay down after such an attack. I'll start the 10 count. 1, 2. Right before the announcer could say 3, Kuririn dug himself from the rubble, coughing and gagging from the hit he took to his gullet. Incredible. Kuririn looks a little worse for wear and yet is still standing strong after such a blow. The announcer added after stopping his count. Geez, that's smarts. Kuririn coughed. Okay. Gotta get creative now. I'm surprised he's still up after that, but he's on the back foot now, Caulifla thought, taking her stance once more. What's ol' cue ball gonna cook up now? Me. Oh, for crying out loud. Me, Kuririn recited as a blue star of his own ki formed in his cupped hands. I'm gonna see it coming from a mile away. Caulifla yelled mentally, preparing a Kamehameha of her own. What happened next was not what she was expecting. Immediately Kuririn fired his Kamehameha in the exact opposite of his target, launching him forward like a rocket, feet first. This was enough to shock Caulifla and had no time to avoid the kick as it hit her in the jaw, sending her skidding, but stopping short of the edge of the ring. She stood up and gingerly rubbed her jaw. It didn't hurt much, but the surprise compounded the feeling. Okay. Credit where it's due, Caulifla commented, grinning. Of all the things I was expecting, that was not one of them. Thought you might like that. Kuririn responded back, proud of his accomplishment, beads of sweat rolling down his scalp. Physics wins the day. I dunno, Caulifla cheekily retorted. You look pretty tired after that. Oh crap. Kuririn cursed as the realization dawned on him. He hadn't had the same endurance as Goku or Caulifla even before their training, not to mention he was the last to pick up the Kamehameha and its glaring drawbacks. His maneuver was coming back to bite him in the form of Caulifla charging towards the monk, outstretching both of her hands in a cutting fashion, moving too quick avoid, until she slammed the sides of her palms onto both sides of the monk's neck, knocking him out cold. Despite a magnificent demonstration of Mutant Roshi's patented Kamehameha, Caulifla had the edge in endurance. The announcer boomed into his microphone. Caulifla is the winner. The crowd cheered and Caulifla gave a small bow to the unconscious monk, hoisted his body over her shoulder, and took him back to the green room. Goku was quick to rush over and greet his friends, one of which was in no place to respond. That was awesome. Goku cheered. Using a Kamehameha like that was clever. Too bad cue ball forgot about the stamina toll the technique has. Caulifla patted Kuririn's unconscious back, proud of her accomplishment. The monk burped from the patting and slowly came to. Woo! Where am I? A dazed Kuririn muttered. Why is the ground over there? Caulifla beat you and then burped you awake, Goku answered, earning a laugh from everyone in the green room at that last part, confusing the spiky-haired boy. What? You really are simple, you know that. Caulifla deadpan commented. Oh well, you're up next along with the bearded wonder over there. You're just saying that because you're jealous of my beard. Jackie Chun retorted, standing up. Why would she be jealous of your beard? Goku asked. It would get in the way of food. Soup especially. And also because I have zero desire to be a bearded lady. Caulifla shouted, annoyed that Goku was missing the point. Will contestants Jackie Chun and Son Goku please step forward? The announcer called from the arena. And that's our cue, Jackie Chun said, a sporting grin warping his facial hair. May the best fighter win. Likewise, Goku grinned back. And may we learn from our fight here today. The two competitors stepped forward ready to fight, Goku's tail waving in the wind, causing Caulifla's mind to work once more. Summoning a magic snake dragon could work, but would it be the right way to go about it? We will now begin with the second round of the semifinals. The announcer called out. Our two contestants here are fairly popular. The champion of the 16th Tenkaichi Budokai Jackie Chun, who had supplanted Mutant Roshi's students then, versus Son Goku, a member of the new generation taught by the same master. The second round shall now commence. The two fighters did not utter a word, but bowed before taking their stances, the taiko drums in the background building up to the gong once more. If this kid is anything like Caulifla, I'll have to move quickly, the old master thought. His strength especially exceeds my expectations by a long shot. That disguise is for show, but it's definitely Mutant Roshi underneath, Goku thought. Strength alone might not win this, so I'll have to be creative and careful. Gong. The tension snapped and the two warriors immediately rushed at each other, opening up with a swift volley of punches and kicks. Most were blocked, while a few slipped through, physically irritating both fighters. Goku found an opening and jumped up over Jackie Chun's head using his tail to smack the bearded warrior in the face, only for it to go directly through his face as he vanished. What the? Before Goku could finish his thought, Jackie Chun suddenly reappeared in front of him, giving a silly face before kicking the boy into the already damaged wall. Zanzoken, Chun announced, pleased to see his maneuver worked, but standing firm. You're not out yet, are ya lad? Not by a long shot. Goku groaned as he pulled himself from the new rubble pile, but grinning in spite of himself. Now I see how you beat Grandpa Gohan so easily. Jackie Chun said nothing, and immediately Goku's frame began to appear distorted as two more Gokus surrounded the master. Monkey see, monkey do, Chun muttered, carefully analyzing this mimicry of his after-image technique. You're right, there. No hit. Just a fading image of Goku, only for the real one to fall from the sky and perform a sledgehammer to the wig-lined skull of Jackie Chun, knocking the old man down before he shakily pushed himself up. How's that? Goku boasted. It's not the first time I copied a move from a master. You little ingrate, Chun groaned. Striking the head of your master like that. My master? Goku inquired, but caught himself and grinned. I guess I hit you harder than I thought, Jackie Chun. Oh yeah, Jackie Chun nervously laughed. You must have jogged some old memories with that one. Sorry lad. The two took stances again, but the older contestant began to hiccup and act all loopy, as if from out of nowhere, stumbling over his feet, confusing the boy. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Jackie Chun has had his beverages spiked, and it's caught up to the man. The announcer stammered at this new development. Did you have too much sake earlier? Goku inquired. 'Cause it looks. Before Goku could finish, a drunken foot collided with the boy's forehead, sending him reeling. The boy recomposed himself and launched himself fist forward, only for the intoxicated, or seemingly intoxicated, old man to feint to the left and spin around, hitting Goku in the back of the head with his fist. This missed attack gave Goku a clue as he was able to catch the smell of Jackie Chun's breath. Okay. Not drunk, Goku muttered. I didn't smell any sake or beer in his breath, so maybe he's faking it. Sheesh, the sober mind of Jackie Chun thought. Good thing he doesn't work for the police. Putting breathalyzers to shame, lad. Goku tried to attack the faking drunkard, but since he has never had alcohol in his life, not to mention being too young to drink legally to begin with, he had no solid grasp on how to counter this style, and ran off to the other side of the arena, facing away from his opponent. You okay, lad? Chun asked, now behaving sober. I didn't make you cry with that, did I? Goku said nothing, but was visibly trembling, only to turn back around, a wild look in his eyes, teeth bared, snarling, until he charged at the master on all fours, barking like a mad dog. This definitely caught Chun by surprise, and the boy zoomed past and kicked the master in the back, knocking him down. He tried to get back up, only for Goku to jump up and sledgehammer the old champion's forehead. Okay. An infuriated Jackie Chun shouted as he got up. What in Sam hell was that? Since I couldn't figure out your drunk foo, Goku explained standing up, pleased with his work. I decided to use dog foo. Kyoken if you'd like. Now if you've got nothing else, let's wrap this up so I can move on. Okay. Chun sighed, calming himself. We'll wrap this up indeed, but you won't be moving on. Woo. I'm impressed, but I never thought I'd have to use this move again, Jackie Chun calmly announced, rolling up his sleeves. You're the second opponent I've had to use this on. Who's the first? Goku inquired, now visibly curious. Son Gohan. Jackie Chun clapped his hands together, focusing his ki into his arms before opening his hands, keeping his fingertips connected. An electric aura built up around his forearms flowing into his hands, until he separated his hands and thrust his palms forward. Benkoku Biku Risho. A bright arc of lightning shot from the master's hands and enveloped Goku, causing him to scream as the electricity surged around and through him, causing every hair on his body, especially on his tail, to seize up and spike outward. The technique had lifted the boy from the ground, and if the laws of electricity are any indicator, that means that Goku was caught in a perpetual lightning bolt with no way to ground himself. Concede, boy, Jackie Chun shouted, keeping a steady stream of electricity on the boy. This will kill you if you don't. I'm not giving up. Goku strained as he was being shocked, followed up by defiantly sticking out his tongue. I'm not kidding. Any longer and this will kill you. I don't want that. Goku. Give up. Kuririn called from the green room, concerned for his friend. It's okay. You fought well. There's no use getting yourself killed over a competition. Caulifla added from the green room, even more concerned than Kuririn. Goku strained to speak. I won't think any less of you, lad. Jackie Chun called out. Even Son Gohan didn't last this long. Goku continued to strain. I see a topless woman in the stands. Caulifla sighed and palmed her face. If this works. It worked. Immediately the lightning current stopped, and Goku fell to the ground, mildly shuddering from the shock. Meanwhile, Jackie Chun's instincts immediately shifted from battle to perverse indulgence, looking for this topless woman Goku mentioned. This was exactly what Goku needed to recover from such a brutal technique, and once he caught his breath, he saw that Jackie Chun was still visibly distracted, combing the stands from the arena. Too distracted to notice a thrum of ki build up behind him. Me. Jackie Chun paused for a moment, wondering if he had been duped, only to pick up the sound of the patented incantation too late. A blue beam of ki rushed from Goku's hands and the Kamehameha crashed into Jackie Chun, launching him from his place on the arena and into the wall. When the beam dissipated, the martial arts master slumped down not onto the arena, but onto the cool grass outside of it, as the wall he hit was on the spectator's side. I don't believe it. The announcer cheered as the audience let out a collective gasp. Jackie Chun, the champion of the 16th Tenkaichi Budokai, and his infamous Thunder Shock surprise, pardon my choice of words, I can't remember the name of the technique, has been bested by his own indulgences and loses by ring out. Such quick thinking by his opponent. Son Goku is the winner. The crowd cheered as Goku slumped onto the arena floor, pleased with his victory. Caulifla and Kuririn quickly ran out to greet the victor. You magnificent dumbass, Kuririn shouted, unable to hold back a smile. How'd you know Jackie Chun was such a perv? Goku hesitated to answer. You saw how he was eyeing Ran Fuan in the green room, right? Oh right. Kuririn bought the answer immediately. And that one bit where he was desperate to fight her when lots were being drawn. If brilliant idiot wasn't an oxymoron, I'd use that to describe you, Caulifla added, grinning as well. Looks like we both made it to the finals. Jackie Chun pulled himself up to the arena, singed from the Kamehameha Goku had launched at him. His expression was annoyed, but simply bowed, before Goku bowed in kind. I'm impressed, lad, Jackie Chun said. I never thought I'd be bested by a student of the Turtle School. I wanted to give it my all. Goku responded with his trademark grin. Besides, it's clear you have some things to work on yourself. Goku pointed at the defeated champion, much to said champion's chagrin, but simply nodded. All right, the announcer called out. After a fine display of sportsmanship, we shall take a 20-minute recess to allow our semifinalists to. I want to start now, Goku interrupted. What? The sunglasses-wearing announcer stammered. But, you just fought. You're not tired after such a fight with Jackie Chun? I am tired, Goku answered. But ever since my tail grew back, my strength grew back with it. I just want it to be a fair fight is all. Are you saying you're handicapping yourself for my sake? Caulifla snapped, visibly annoyed at Goku's gesture. So what if I don't have a super monkey tail? I want to fight you at your best. But I wouldn't be fighting you at your best. Goku retorted, keeping details hidden as best as he could. Besides, I'm still worried that tonight might be a full moon and it'll act up my allergies, so the sooner we finish the better. Caulifla moped at this retort, and was mad that Goku was right. If her tail was going to grow back soon, she would gain strength with it, and the balance of power would be even then, but the tournament is now, and evening is close. Evening is close. All the more reason to avoid risking tonight being a full moon and wrap up the tournament quickly. Reluctantly, Caulifla nodded to these terms. Well, I guess we have a match. The suited announcer shouted. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the finals shall go underway immediately. This should prove to be quite a treat for everyone watching. Two students of the legendary mutant Roshi, squaring off in the finals of the Tenkaichi Budokai. Let the final round commence. Oh, hey mutant Roshi. Bulma announced, now seeing the clean-cut master in a suit walk over. Do you need more fiber in your diet or what? First off, leave my bodily functions out of this, Roshi answered flatly. Secondly, I just wanted to get a better view of the fights. Guess here's got the best view. And right on time. Goku's about to fight that Caulifla girl. Knock her dead, Goku. Yamcha called out from the stands, only to quickly recoil when he realized his opponent beat him easily. Go get him, Caulifla. Bulma could only chuckle at Yamcha's indecision. I only hope I did not fail either of my students, Roshi thought. This match will be difficult to watch. The thundering of taiko drums can be heard throughout the arena, the crowd silent, waiting for the battle to begin. As the drums increase in tempo, Goku and Caulifla hold their stances on opposite sides of the arena, grinning as they both look forward to one hell of a battle. No holds barred, right? Goku asked, not moving an inch. Right back at ya, Caulifla responded, still as a statue. The taiko drums reached a trill and then, gong. Spurred by the percussive bell, the two immediately sprang towards each other, forearms clashing as the two grinned, eager to test their strength. Goku swung his leg at Caulifla's feet in an effort to trip up the girl, but she saw this maneuver coming a mile away and leapt above, ready to kick the boy in the face, only to have her foot blocked by a reactive palm. The two separated once more, taking the same spots they started with, and assuming more fortified stances. She's good, Goku thought, grinning at the situation. Definitely packing a wallop behind her moves. Not much I can work with to get around her offense, but there are options. Even when tired, he packs a punch. Caulifla thought, eager to begin again. I could go for the weak spot, but I'll reserve that option as a last resort. The two stared at each other for a solid half-minute until Goku jumped up, surprising Caulifla as to wonder what he was up to. Caulifla jumped up after him, which is exactly what Goku wanted. As soon as she reached the apex of her jump, she was smacked back down by a double axe handle Goku delivered during his descent. Incredible. The announcer looked up. I can barely see what's going on up there. I guess this is a contest for the strongest in the heavens now. The two traded blows during the descent of terminal velocity. When the arena floor drew close, Caulifla realized what Goku was planning and used his body as a springboard to send him down and slow her own descent. Crap! Goku screamed just before hitting the marble tile of the arena, creating a large spider web fissure spreading in all directions. Goku slowly got up only to have a falling axe kick to his back send him back down. Caulifla bounced off this maneuver and assumed her stance once again. Come on, Caulifla shouted. I know you're not down for the count yet. You saw right through that maneuver, huh? Goku said as he stood up, rubbing his back. Got the jump before I could. Alright, how about we try something different? Goku assumed a familiar stance, causing Caulifla to sigh. Seriously, Kuririn tried that. I want you to fire as well. Goku interrupted. See who has the bigger blast. Oh, Caulifla said flatly, while adjusting her stance. Well, in that case, me. Me. Goku also chanted, as two bright balls of ki formed in the hands of both fighters, causing a mild vibration in the ground. Two explosions of ki burst from two sets of hands, hurtling towards one another until they collided in the center of the ring, the collision sending a shockwave all across the arena, startling the audience. The collision continued to grow brighter until it could no longer sustain and exploded outward, kicking up a mass of dust that obscured the arena. When the dust settled, both fighters were panting slightly, as the explosion singed both of them, but not to a severe degree. That was incredible. The announcer coughed as he cleared dust from his sunglasses. Two simultaneous Kamehameha colliding with one another only to explode in spectacular fashion. Thank goodness only the contestants felt that. Geez, that was loud. Caulifla shouted between breaths. You were banking on that tossing me out of the ring, weren't you? Thought hadn't crossed my mind, actually. Goku clarified, chuckling that he missed such an idea. I just wanted to see if we were even. Like I said earlier, Caulifla stated. You're simple. Better than being a simpleton like before, right? Goku retorted, earning a chuckle from Caulifla. If it's all the same to you, let's keep things hand to hand from now on, alright? Caulifla stated her terms. Sounds good to me. Goku agreed. Such sportsmanship, ladies and gentlemen. The announcer cheered. The two are discussing the terms of the battle, and it looks to be getting underway once more. As if spurred by the announcer's words, the two proceeded to clash once more, Goku leaping over Caulifla when the girl launched a left hook aimed for Goku's temple. Caulifla expected the boy's tail to smack her in the face, only for it to swivel around and hit her in the back of the head. She stood up, irritated by that maneuver, and ran towards her opponent, dropping down to slide towards his feet, pivoting her legs to upset his balance. Goku saw this maneuver coming and jumped up, only to have Caulifla vault herself up and kick him back down. Thinking she had the edge, she landed mere inches away, ready to push her advantage, but was immediately halted when Goku sprung up and launched himself headfirst into Caulifla's gut, knocking the wind right out of her. Not fun. Caulifla strained as she clutched her stomach. Goku stood up, thinking he had won, his tail waving freely. As much in pain as Caulifla was, she needed to recover and saw a window of opportunity, grabbed the free waving tail, causing Goku to yelp before woozily falling face first into the marble tile. Before anything else, Caulifla released her grip, surprising the fallen boy. "Why'd you let go?" he asked. "You could have won. Where's the fun in that?" Caulifla retorted, her expression stoic. "Wrap your tail around your waist and I won't be so tempted to go for it." Goku agreed and with ease, wrapped his tail around his blue obi, now looking like a fur belt. "This fight seems even, don't you think?" Goku asked. "A little bit, but let's keep at it," Caulifla shouted, eager to continue. The two leapt towards each other again, fists launching towards each other and parried. A keen observer would notice each impact jolting the dust up around the arena each time. Mutant Roshi watched the fight between Goku and Caulifla with bated breath. What he was seeing was beyond remarkable and alarming, even by the standards his experience had set for him. "It doesn't make sense," Mutant Roshi observed, visibly confused. "They're both tired, so those punches should be getting weaker." "What do you mean?" Yamcha asked. "The impacts of each attack are slowly but surely getting louder," Roshi clarified. "I can feel the shockwaves increase in strength. Despite this, neither side is giving any ground. Are you suggesting they're getting stronger as they fight?" "I'm not sure." The flurry of attacks persisted in the center of the ring until Caulifla found an opening, a suboptimal punch launched by Goku and batted it away with more force, spinning the boy around. Caulifla then locked an arm around his neck and pinned him to the ground. "You slipped," Caulifla shouted with glee, holding her armbar around Goku's neck tightly. "I won't think any less of you if you give now." "Never," Goku defiantly shouted back, struggling to free himself. "This isn't like Jackie Chun's lightning move, so I can still fight." "How about if I do this?" Caulifla shouted as she grabbed Goku's waist and pulled him in for a suplex, crashing his head against the tiles, causing it to crack further. "Gonna say uncle now. Not if that's the best you got." Goku rejected, twisting his body to try and shake the girl off, but to no avail and fell forward. "No use getting out of this," Caulifla shouted, hoisting her captive to his feet. "Maybe I should throw you out of the ring." "I'm not gonna let." Goku began to retort, only to suddenly cut himself off, and go silent. His expression turned blank, and stopped struggling, confusing Caulifla. "Goku, you alright?" Caulifla questioned, releasing her armbar and leaving the boy on his feet. He began to take short rhythmic breaths, and his black eyes turned an eerie shade of red. His heartbeat grew more audible as his body twitched with each breath. Caulifla then turned to where he was looking, and immediately her pupils contracted to pin pricks, her face turned pale and a cold chill ran through her spine. No. Goku had seen the full moon. Immediately, Goku began to snarl as his muscle mass began to swell exponentially, hair growing in to cover his body and his teeth grew into fangs. His GI was completely destroyed as his size grew past the fabric's limits, and when the finally transformed boy stood taller than the arena, he let out a deafening roar and began to stomp around, completely out of control. The crowd immediately began to panic as the small monkey boy had turned into a giant monster who was stomping across the arena and tearing apart the temple roof as if it were tissue paper. The announcer tried to call out to him to get him to stop, but to no avail. Bulma and Yamcha tried to formulate a plan to cut off Goku's tail again, tournament rules be damned, and Kuririn and Mutant Roshi could only watch in awe and terror as they ran from the debris that Goku was throwing around. Caulifla was paralyzed with fear. "Caulifla, snap out of it!" Kuririn shouted, trying to get his friend to move. "Get out of the way!" Caulifla snapped out of her paralysis just in time to avoid a massive foot from crushing her. She looked up to see the Uzaru had taken and was beyond horrified. This was what she became when under a full moon, and now she was in front of this monster's path. His tail, Caulifla thought, trying to simultaneously compose herself and avoid being crushed by the rampaging Uzaru. I gotta get his tail. Unfortunately, Goku's tail, while it was unraveled from his waist, was far too erratic for her to attempt to catch, and with her stamina drained after such a battle, there was no way for her to grab it. Regardless, she tried to grab at it. Each attempt to grab the madly swinging tail was met with failure. Caulifla was experiencing a new level of fear, and began to scream. Son Goku. Either Goku was still in there and heard the pleas, or a miracle had been bestowed upon Caulifla's fortune. The tail began to slow down, along with Goku's overall rampage. The Uzaru developed a surprised expression as if he still recognized the voice. Caulifla saw this opportunity and did not hesitate to latch onto the Uzaru's tail, and began squeezing as hard as she could. The beast's roars began to dull into gargles, and those gargles began to morph almost into what sounded like words. Cow, Lee, Florida, the monster Goku gargled. Caulifla squeezed his tail even harder, and as if by magic, Goku's mass began to recede, his monkey-like features returning to more human ones, the roaring subsiding, and the transforming boy closed his eyes before falling face first onto the marble tile. Eventually, Goku's transformation had been completely undone, and was back to normal, bare as the day he was born. Caulifla then immediately tore off a portion of her orange GI shirt, still covered by the blue undershirt she had on, and tied the piece of fabric around Goku's eyes, ensuring he wouldn't transform again after all the trouble to get him to stop. Once the makeshift blindfold was firmly on Goku's face, she pulled in the boy for a tight hug. The girl's breath was shaky and her entire body was trembling. After what had just happened, she wanted to curl up and wait for morning, but knew Goku would stir again. Sure enough, Goku regained consciousness and looked around, only to notice his vision was obscured. Wah! What happened? Goku muttered, realizing he was unable to see. I don't, Caulifla demanded, her words in between sobs. You saw the full moon. Goku's heart sank and his expression frowned, but had to ask. Did anyone get hurt? No, no one got hurt, Caulifla answered, tears now rolling down her face. I managed to undo your transformation by squeezing your tail. I saw, Goku acknowledged, causing Caulifla to flinch with surprise. It was really hazy, but I heard you call out. I saw the arena. Everything looked small, but then started to get bigger, and then I blacked out. It doesn't matter now, Caulifla added, now feeling more at ease. You're back to normal. In the meantime, we should remove that tail. Caulifla reached for Goku's tail, only to be stopped by the boy's hand, surprising Caulifla even more as well as infuriating her. I want to learn to control it, Goku stated. If I was able to regain myself, even a little, it might be possible to tame it. Goku, you can't be serious. Caulifla snapped, pushing back from Goku, furious at what he just said. You destroyed the temple grounds of the arena. You could have killed someone. You could have killed me. I know that, Goku nodded, his tone serious and sullen. But if my tail is gonna grow back every time I cut it off, I'd still have to worry about the moon. If I can tame myself, then I can avoid the destruction. Prevent what happened to Grandpa Gohan from happening ever again. He's right, a familiar voice called out, turning out to be Mutant Roshi. When you called out to him before squeezing his tail, Goku calmed down. It may be possible for him to learn how to control himself when it happens. Is it risky? Absolutely, but the benefits would be boundless. No senseless destruction because of his inner animal, and no needless death because of said animal's rampage. I mourn for the loss of Son Gohan because of this, I say let him train for it. Caulifla was at a loss for words. Mutant Roshi's words made sense, but the risk was still so real. If it's not too much to ask, could I get some clothes? Goku asked with an embarrassed chuckle, realizing how bare he was. I was wondering why I felt a draft, but remembered. I got ya covered, Kuririn interrupted and offered as he took off his GI, leaving himself in boxers. Literally. Thanks Kuririn, Goku said as he struggled to put on the GI while still blinded. Hey, why can't I see? I made a quick blindfold, Caulifla answered. That way you won't accidentally look at the moon while we fight. About that, Goku trailed off. Hey referee, announcer, guy with the microphone. Huh, the announcer mumbled under his microphone, hiding behind the edge of the ring. What is it? Did I step out of bounds during that episode? Goku asked, picking his words carefully. And not that I've seen, the announcer answered, confused as to why Goku was asking. This was all Goku needed to hear, and what the boy did next surprised everyone and earned a collective gasp from everyone present. He jumped out of bounds. The announcer was left stammering and lost for words. Son Goku has thrown himself out of the ring. As this is grounds for a loss, Caulifla is the winner of the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. The crowd cheered, but Caulifla was stunned into silence. She was not happy that she had won. In fact, she was very upset with how Goku had just thrown the match just like that. Goku, she snapped, audibly angry. Why the hell did you forfeit like that? The full moon is out, Goku stated. Not to mention with this blindfold, I'm in no place to fight. Caulifla opened her mouth to speak, but had no words to retort, and fell back to a pout. She was snapped out of her pout when she heard and felt a very audible and dense thud. When she looked for the source, it was Goku bumping into the edge of the ring. Little help. A blinded Goku chuckled, mildly embarrassed at his current state. Caulifla, despite how emotionally distraught she was, couldn't help but chuckle as well. Sure, she agreed, hopping down from the arena, grabbing Goku by one shoulder to help guide him around. Hold on, the announcer called out. You almost forgot your winnings. Keep it, Caulifla responded flatly. I didn't earn it. I respectfully disagree, Mutant Roshi retorted. Your quick actions saved all of us, not to mention revealed that it is possible for Goku to control that state of his. If that isn't enough, you could, I dunno, split the winnings. He has a point, Goku agreed. Okay, fine, Caulifla relented, turning to the announcer. I'll take it. Okay, here you go, the announcer responded, handing the reluctant champion an envelope with a 500,000 zeni check. I don't mean to be that guy, Kuririn spoke up. But how are you splitting it? You, Goku and Mutant Roshi each get 125,000 zeni, and I keep the rest, Caulifla answered. So, that's, Goku thought, counting his fingers despite not seeing them. 25% for each of us. And you said math wasn't your strong suit. Kuririn playfully jeered, earning an annoyed look from Goku as everyone else laughed. Hey, Yamcha shouted. Why does Mutant Roshi get a cut? He didn't participate. He trained us, Caulifla flatly retorted. The least we could do is pay him back somehow. But didn't we pee? Shut it. Caulifla cut Goku off, holding her hand over the boy's mouth. Let's leave that detail be for now and not make the situation any worse. Goku, a lavender-haired woman called out as she vaulted over the spectator wall followed by her friends and the aforementioned Yamcha. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine, Goku responded with a goofy grin. Still a little shaken up after looking at the moon though. Sorry for not telling you about that, man, Yamcha apologized. We didn't want to freak you out at the time. It's fine, Goku waved it off. I'm planning on learning to control it. Why you think you can control it? Bulma stammered, trying to believe what she was hearing. You sure that's a good idea? Preach to the choir, Caulifla agreed, and started to fidget, looking away. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think the same thing before. Maybe he's right. Why would you think about? I had a tail also, Caulifla flatly interrupted. Long story that I don't want to get into, but I feel like mine is gonna grow back in a couple days just like his. If we're all done here, can we get something to eat? Goku asked. I haven't eaten since before the tournament and I'm starving. Goku had just said the magic words for his and Caulifla's stomachs to growl in unison, causing the group to break out in collective laughter. Sure, Caulifla agreed. I'll prep it since you got that blindfold on. You don't want to use that zeni to treat yourself? Bulma asked. With mine and Goku's appetites. Caulifla retorted, earning a drawn-out, "Oh," from Bulma. I brought travel food, Goku added with glee. And I have eyes, Caulifla playfully jeered. I'll go get your capsule case. Go with the number 12 capsule. That one's my favorite. Laid out before the group was a large table covered in food, surrounded by chairs and respective silverware. The group, barring Goku, Yamcha and Puer, as the latter two were in agreement with the choice, looked at the buffet with apprehension. Within the capsule Goku mentioned were several discs of Hawaiian pizza. No one's eating, Goku noticed. Is there a problem? How do I put this delicately? Bulma hesitated as she could not form the words. It's freaking pineapple on pizza, you idiot. Oolong shouted before Bulma could finish. Oh come on, Goku called out, the same goofy grin plastered on his face. You guys don't like it because you haven't tried it. Yamcha and Puer like it. That's because they've been living in a desert for the longest time. Bulma retorted, earning an indignated look from Yamcha. I'll try it, Mutant Roshi agreed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. And what about you, Caulifla? Goku asked, trying to face his friend, only to be off by a few degrees. No, Caulifla flatly answered. Come on, remember Mutant Roshi's rules of training. Not half bad, Roshi added, taking a bite out of his slice. Pretty good actually, Kuririn agreed after trying his slice. Alright fine, Caulifla loudly relented, seeing Oolong and Bulma enjoy their slices as well. If it'll get you all to shut up about it. With hesitation, Caulifla picked up a slice, unfortunately they were all cut evenly, so she couldn't get a small slice. She looked at the perfectly cooked slice of pizza in her hands, cheese slightly falling over the edges with marinara clinging to it, topped with ham and the offending slices of tropical fruit. She closed her eyes and took a bite. Pretty good, actually. See, Goku said, seeing Caulifla's expression shift, taking a minute to taste her discovery. I'm mad that you're right, Caulifla said after swallowing her bite. 3 seconds of silence, and then she proceeded to devour several whole pizza pies of the Hawaiian variety with newfound ferocity. Hey, save some for me, Goku shouted, noticing despite not having vision, his ears and nose told him the food was quickly vanishing, so he tried to grab what he could. Yeah, they're meant for each other, Bulma slyly commented while simultaneously horrified at what she was witnessing. 2 children devouring an entire table of pineapple pizza that could feed an entire village, if the village were open to such a food that is. Everyone was sitting in their chairs, comfortably digesting their food until Kuririn spoke up. So Mutant Roshi, the monk asked. Do you have any more training for us? I'm afraid not lad, the hermit answered, smiling. I've taught you all you need to know. It's up to you to build strength and refine your techniques. There's no use having me teach you guys forever. Goku and Caulifla I know have plans on where to train. Hey Bulma, Goku asked the lavender-haired woman. Do you have the dragon radar? Yeah, right here, Bulma answered, pulling out the stopwatch-looking device. You're gonna go look for Sushinshu. We're actually gonna gather all 7, Caulifla clarified. We were gonna ask this Shenlong too. Just Sushinshu will be fine, Goku interrupted. I'm gonna try and learn to control myself, and I think you should as well. I never agreed to this. Caulifla snapped. I want to be done with this curse. Remember what mutant Roshi said about the easy path. Caulifla held her tongue for a few seconds until she spoke up again. I'm still curious about this magic dragon. That's the same reason Goku decided to help me gather the Dragon Balls, Bulma chuckled, thinking back to her travels. She clicked the device once, only for her face to frown. Oh. What is it? Goku asked. Well, it hasn't been a full year yet, Bulma clarified, holding up the dragon radar, showing it was blank. So, the Dragon Balls aren't active yet. They're still stone. Oh yeah, Goku frowned. It's only been 8 months. They're stone, Caulifla asked, visibly curious. I thought they were orange with red stars floating inside. They turn to stone after you make a wish and they all scatter, Goku clarified, causing Caulifla to nod in understanding. They turn back after a year is up. You can hang onto the radar until then, Bulma offered with a smile. You know how to work it, right? Yeah, Goku answered with glee, taking the device and then turning to Caulifla. You wanna tag along? Now, Caulifla stammered. But, you just said these Dragon Balls can't be found until 4 months from now. I meant back over to Mount Paozu. Goku clarified. We can work out how to train for the full moon. I can think of a few other things to work out, Kuririn slyly commented, grinning, causing both Goku and Caulifla's face to change to a light shade of red and both give Kuririn the most, really. Look they could muster. What? I'm only kidding. By the way, Goku spoke up again. What are you guys gonna do in the meantime? I'm gonna head back home, Bulma answered. I need to rest after seeing the Uzaru again. Same here, Yamcha added. So, we're all heading home then, Roshi observed. What about you, Kuririn? I'd go with Goku and Caulifla, Kuririn answered. But since their cloud still doesn't like me, could I stick around with you and lunch? Okay, Roshi shrugged. Kintoan. Goku shouted to the heavens, and summoned by its master's call, the somersault cloud descended from the night sky, parking itself in front of the group. Goku was about to jump up onto the cloud, but remembered he still couldn't see. Oh, can I get a hand getting up? Sure, Caulifla offered, jumping onto the cloud and pulling the boy on board. So, I guess this is goodbye. Till we meet again, Roshi answered, with everyone else giving their respective goodbyes. Alright, see you guys later. Goku acknowledged with glee. Kintoan, to Mount Paozu. Go. The yellow cloud zoomed into the sky until the group down below was long gone. Alone once again, Caulifla spoke up. Hey, Goku. The blinded boy turned to Caulifla's voice. What's up? I gotta ask. When we were fighting, did you notice anything odd? What do you mean? I mean, every time we hit each other, the punches felt stronger, yet they didn't hurt any more than usual. Now that you mention it, we did hit harder as we kept going. What do you think it means? Dunno. Questions for later, I guess. Speaking of questions, I'm hoping you don't plan for us to try and tame the Uzaru form at your house. Oh, absolutely not, Goku shouted back. I was gonna look for somewhere out of the way. The gizzard wastelands might do. Vast expanse of rocky desert with no civilization for miles, Caulifla recited from the geography textbook she read during training. It's perfect. I thought, you might agree, Goku yawned. I'm gonna sleep the way there. Before Caulifla could respond, the boy was fast asleep. Today's fatigue began to catch up with her as well, and she began to feel drowsy as well. She tightened the blindfold around Goku's eyes just to be on the safe side, until she finally laid down on the cloud. Eventually the two were both fast asleep atop a flying cloud, illuminated by the full moon until they awoke in the morning.